What's happening, everybody? Today I have the Nikon D500 and the Tamron 150 to 600 G2 lens. It's f6.3 at 600. Now what we're going to talk about today is when you see lens companies say that their vibration control is equivalent to 3 stops or 4 stops, or in the case of the 150 to 600, 4.5 stops. What exactly does that mean? What it does not mean is it's not going to magically bring in more light. What it does mean is I can adjust the shutter speed. Rule of thumb on a zoom lens or any lens is do not have the shutter any slower than the focal length. So for instance, at 600 millimeters, the rule of thumb is 1/600th of a second is the slowest shutter speed I could run on this effectively handheld, because the vibration control is equivalent to 4.5 stops. Let's count it. That's 1/600th of a second down to 1/300th, down to 1/150th, down to 1/75th, down to 1/37.5. That's 4 stops at 37.5. So let's say 1/30th of a second I should be able to handhold this lens at f6.3. So let's test it and see if that theory is generally intact. Alright, so let's see how she does. 1/30th of a second is where I've got it set at f6.3, ISO 200. You can see here, I'm going to handhold, aimed at the wall. The back of the screen looks pretty good. Let's pull it up. You'll see the image in 3, 2, 1. Okay, so now you know what that number is when a lens company says, hey, our vibration control, our image stabilization, our vibration reduction is equivalent to X f-stops. Well, the only thing is, it only tells part of the story. In sports photography, action photography, that type thing, you're shooting at such a high shutter speed most of the time, the image stabilization is not going to afford you any leeway. You're not going to go from 1/2000th of a second down to 1/250th of a second to shoot a basketball game because it gives you extra stops of light. You still got to have that fast shutter to stop the image from being blurred from movement. The other thing is, if you're shooting a low shutter speed, like on a tripod, let's say you're shooting real estate and you're in a dark environment, or you're shooting the Milky Way, you don't want the image stabilization then either, because it's possible for that lens to jump as it stabilizes the shot, where being handheld is fine. Long exposures, image stabilization, vibration control, vibration reduction can give you some movement in the lens that you weren't counting on. So now you know that when you see a lens company advertise that they're vibration control or vibration reduction or image stabilization, or sometimes even in the bodies you see that information, that is the number of stops you can change the shutter speed. It's not going to magically let more light in on your proper settings. So if you have any questions, feel free to drop a little comment below. If you like this content, please hit the subscribe button, hit the like button, feel free to share, and until next time, we'll see you then.